discussing matters, the bill that has been put out by a member of parliament from the Kanu party that it's a bid to bring powerful prime minister and weaken the president. That's weakening the president's power. So before we go on, maybe you can share with us your sentiments on that.
Okay, I think in parts it is a good bill, especially when we're having a one-term president of seven years. Because what we have currently is that a president hardly goes for 5 years, it's 10 years. So if we have a mediocre president, then it means that we have mediocrity for 10 years. So at least 7 years is a lesser time, and if we can have mediocrity for 7 years, or development for 7 years, I think it's better than having that for 10 years. And
spending money on elections for nothing.
Yeah.
All right. Now, do you guys agree we should not have that the 5-year term, just let's have 7 years of either mediocrity or development. As long as it's 7 years, twende kazi.
It's a rejoinder to what Jesse Davis just said. Mediocrity is mediocrity. Doesn't matter whether it's a mediocrity for 7 years or 10 years mediocrity. Let's say, for example, we withstand the 7 years of mediocrity. 3 years will not be sufficient for us to amend that mediocrity. You see? Yeah, and just looking at it from a political angle, I think that most likely that the bill that has been proposed to Parliament must have been through the craftings of the Jubilee Party. And I think that right now they are testing the waters. They just want to get the views from Kenyans on what they think about this bill. And so our word is out there that we are heavily opposed to this bill from a fiscal aspect and even from a representation and a democratic aspect. And I would just like to maybe request you, Nina, now that the bill has been engineered by a Kanu MP and he is not bound by the gagging orders and the dress downs in Parliament from the Jubilee side, perhaps you can ask him to come here and interrogate him and ask him to expound further on this bill.
All right, yes. We shall be looking for the Kanu MP. But before we do that, we were trying to paint it in white and black, and we started with you, Elliot, speaking to us and saying that this is more of making sure that everyone gets a share of the piece of cake, considering the member of parliament who brought in this proposal comes from
Kanu.
The Kanu party now.
Yes.
And we have 2 aspiring presidents come 2022 from the same area. Yes. That is the Deputy President, William Ruto, and Gideon Moi. Now, how true is this, according to you, from where you sit, Kagiri?
The only, or rather, one of the very few advantages that I see regarding this bill is that having a one-term president will finally get rid of this post-election nonsense that we usually have in this country. All this division in the country and unrest and whatnot, which really, really ails our country. That's probably a good take-home that we can have from this proposal. But at the same time, look, if, again, one of the advantages that the MP who is proposing this bill is trying to bring to the fore is that the president is only going to be a symbol of national unity, and that the prime minister is going to be head of government. He's going to be the one to get his hands dirty with running government on a day-to-day basis. But the reason why the president at this moment is not viewed by all in the country as a symbol of national unity is not an issue that can be solved by creating a different office. There's a conversation that has to be had on electoral justice. So again, we are dancing around the problems that we have, Nina. It is not going to work. It does not make sense what he's proposing. Issues of wage bill and whatnot, I think we have belabored that topic so much. We've cried for it so much, and clearly nothing is going to be done, considering that part of the money that's being borrowed through the Eurobond is actually going to recurrent expenditure.
Just to bring our viewers up to speed, Sarah Siren actually fought for 6 years. Her term was 6 years. And at the end of 6 years, she said, all right, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission has done their job. We have tried our best to reduce the wage bill. But what is the purpose of reducing the wage bill as we continue having more public offices? Tunapunguza, lakini yaongezeka anyway. So this is a 6-year term that I thought, wow.
If I may just put this out there, if these are the kinds of proposals that we are getting from our representatives in Parliament, I think, as I said on this show last week, Nina, I think it's about time we started taking initiative as the public. Clearly, our leaders are bereft of ideas on how to solve the problems that face us, of how to provide sober leadership going forward. I would call upon the civil society. Instead of making noise for certain issues that we've known them to make noise for before, let them engage the public at this point. Let them work together with the public at this point to formulate policy, to come up with ideas that will be presented to leaders in Parliament for implementation in this country. Because clearly, the more we keep waiting upon our leaders to act, we keep getting half-baked ideas like this.
All right. Yes, sir.
Fine. First of all, I'll disagree with you when you say that this new bill will solve our perennial electoral crisis. I think even if we change the constitution, but we are not going to have a dialogue with our people based on the division, the ethnic division, then we cannot solve this problem. So I think, to me, I think this bill, it's a good bill.